Have you ever felt like maybe my team is too small or my organization is too small to have impact? Well, that's not true. You can have impact regardless of the size of your organization or a team. It does take some intentionality and it does take a lot of innovation capital, which is the ability to win the resources that you need to make the magic happen. Hello, my name is Alicia M. Morgan. I am an aerospace and industrial engineer. I spent a greater part of my career in aviation and defense. I work at some companies that you may know, such as Raytheon, Boeing earlier in my career, and interning at Lockheed Martin. And I use all of those great skills and project management and capital projects while I was working in aviation and defense. And I transitioned through upskilling into the nonprofit sector. I was the vice president of education and programs at an aviation museum. I did a lot of workforce readiness initiatives through community colleges and local universities. And I was a part of after-school programs. And in all of those places, I was a member of the team or leading the team. And we were high performance teams, award-winning teams, in fact, in many cases. And all of that happened because we paid attention to all of the assets that you need to have impact. And I want to talk to you about that today. So I want you to relax, sit back, relax, and realize that you can have great impact. And not just think about an outcome or a number or how much money that the organization made, but to have the true transformation that happens with outcomes that matter. We're going to break that down into some assets that you need to do so. First, we always consider that human capital, right? The skill sets that you need, the knowledge, and having those individuals on the team that can do that. I invite you to think about also having team members have diverse backgrounds. So not always just being the specialist, they can be generalists and have knowledge in a lot of different areas, because when you want to have great impact, you must consider a lot of different points of view, consider your blind spots and all the other areas that you need to know. And then from our human capital, we think about social capital. Early on, I've heard that called just networking. Your network is your network, right? You know, the people that you know. However, we have to dig a little bit deeper. We must make that not just a transaction where you're going to someone and say, hey, I need this, give me this. It's a mutual value exchange, because when you're delivering on impact, it's about value and not your perceived value of something. You actually know it because you've talked to the person and you dig a little bit deeper to find out what's going on, which takes a lot to do so. And I also want you to consider, when you're doing that as well, the pain points. So what do the people think, feel, see, and know about what's going on? So that will help you frame your pathway to getting to that outcome. And we'll be honest, I do have a background in agile project management. I am certified in agile metrics. And I know that a lot of organizations are traditional waterfall. I'm an engineer. I love a great plan. I know I love it, step-by-step plan. Now, we have to consider an outcome you're learning over time, and you're figuring out some things as you go. So while you have a plan, everything won't go exactly the way you think it should, because you don't know all the things you don't know until you actually get into it. So to get to those outcomes, we have to allow some flexibility. And at the heart of flexibility is the people. At the heart of teams having this great impact is the people. And they're feeling great about the work. Are they able to have difficult conversations? So this is not a groupthink environment when you are thinking about having that great impact, even if you're having a small team. It's having those difficult conversations, whether you call it the elephant in the room or the person that may play the contrary advocate to what everyone else's beliefs are. So all those things come into play when we're talking about outcome. And then reputation. A great instance of reputation capital. When I was working at a company, I was working in a manufacturing environment. And the charge of the project charter was to completely rearrange a factory in less than 6 months with little to no impact to production. And this decision was made without the input of the operators at the time. And I had to go down to the shop floor and say, this is going to happen, and watch them do the work. And that required me to get some insight into the tactical day-to-day. So when you're rearranging a factory and workstations, you have the tendency to need to do this when there's little to no impact to production. So that requires after hours work. So you have to be mindful of that. And then you think, oh, I'm just going to install a new equipment, but then you have safety measures in place. So that requires this huge impact is to get to know the people doing the work or the communities you're serving, wherever it is, to understand how you're going to get there and all the other things that you may not see. So then you have a reputation for being empathetic, a reputation for being intentional, and a reputation for knowing that you're always a student and learner in this. And then as you boost your visibility and impact, so that as a result of that factory rearrange project, we save the organization money, we produce more circuit cards, we had before and after pictures to show the transformation. So we're a smaller organization of 300 people, and our larger organization that was ahead of us in this hierarchy system were thousands of people. So they came down to our factory to figure out how we were actually able to make that magic happen. So listening to those diverse stakeholders, you won't please everybody all of the time. But once people can see that their changes or their inputs are in the final product, you gain that buy-in and trust that you're thinking about. As we consider our small organization and our branding of our organization and our visibility, if someone comes to visit, no matter what day they're visiting, they're going to get the same quality of work, the same customer service. So you see, there's a pattern here about the visibility. And as you have that human capital, and as you show that trust and that empathy, you will begin to gain the more resources to win that innovation capital that you need to continue to move forward. So I hope that you're listening here and realizing that no matter the size of your organization, you can have great impact. As long as you stay connected to what the clients, the customer, or in the case of a nonprofit, your stakeholders, your community stakeholders, your schools, what they value. And a lesson about checking in to consider your outcomes. I was leading the education department. At the time when I came into the organization, it was serving over 35,000 students. And as I was in my tenure, we started serving over 45,000 students. And I talked to you earlier about social capital. So early in my career, when I was transitioning into nonprofits, I joined a nonprofit board at a high school academy. They were beginning what they call an NAF Academy to become accredited for a Be Future Ready Academy in the engineering and health sciences. So I was the inaugural chair. And because of my background in corporate and engineering, I was able to bring in a lot of partnerships and have career resources, career days, and eventually help the students that were becoming rising seniors get internships. So all those things came into play, and they became an accredited academy after 4 years and having their first students graduate with that designation for a career path in engineering or health sciences. So as you can see, all those steps and individual steps kept building so that each organization that I went into We had higher performance. We became award-winning teams, transformation, reaching more people, saving money, delighting the customer, adding value, boosting our visibility and our trust. So all those things come into play. It's great to think about value stream mapping, right? You start somewhere, your current state, you show your in progress, the things you do, and then you show the outcome, the transformation. Small teams or large teams, no matter what size of the team, have to show the transformation that occurs, like how someone's life was changed because of the work, how it was enhanced. Did they get more skills? Did they reach more customers? Did you get more products and services out? So always consider those things as you're thinking about how your team can have your impact. Now, as a final note, I want you to realize that every team can make an impact. Every person can be an innovator. Delighting your customers, your clients is all about value and constantly checking in to ensure that you still have a sense of what's valued or things that may have changed over time. You are, in fact, not just selling something or forcing something, you're showing transformation and how that transformation impacts lives, saves money, brings in more revenue, and shapes how the future is perceived by the people that value those products and services. Always consider yourself a student, a learner, as well as a teacher as what you can share. If you like this video and you have some insights on how your small organization continues to have high value outcomes, please share it in the comments. If this video, you think it resonates with someone, please also share it. Until next time, remember, every organization, every team, no matter the size, can have impact when you think about serving from the perspective of high performance outcomes that are centered in transformation.